So I believe that there's an opportunity for voices to be heard. I also believe in entrepreneurship. So I think that as a steward of entrepreneurship and a believer of dreams and goals, and realizing that at some point somebody needed to help me.
Look, the biggest podcast where you can learn them lessons. Line for line where you can learn from different sections. Made it out the mud, come tell your story, blessings. Never know who listening, never know who stressing. Divine gave you a voice, come speak your honest truth. Line for line, go bar for bar, it's up to you. Wanna talk sports, gov, and politics? Wanna talk about where you from and your accomplishments? Then Line for Line is really where you need to be. A platform that's really made for folks like you and me. You can find it all no matter what you seek. Whether you calling or you listening, tune in every week.
All right. Welcome back to another very special episode of Line for Line podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. Today, we have a very gracious young man in the building today. We actually have Line for Line's first official sponsor in the building today. We have Mr. Kenny Harper of Harper Tax and Financial Literacy Group. Kenny Harper, how you feeling, young man?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for having me. I want to correct you real quick because it's not just Harper Tax and Financial Literacy Group. It's now the Harper Financial Literacy Group, where we focus on tax and comprehensive insurance products. So,
Of course. K Harp, when we start Line for Line podcast, we like the guests to just tell the world just a little bit about themselves, who it is that they are, what products they represent, and what company they represent. The floor is now yours, young man.
All right. So currently I serve as the 14th District Alderman for the city of Kenosha. Also an avid entrepreneur, focusing on financial education and financial literacy. And again, like I said before, a holistic approach to tax and insurance products. We don't just sell insurance, we advocate, we educate, we empower, and then lastly, we insure, just to make sure our clients totally understand what they're buying and their needs.
K Harp, we know that you're a big community representative and you support your community. Can you just let us know, what was it about Line for Line podcast that made you become a sponsor and believe in the platform of Line for Line podcast?
So I believe that there's an opportunity for voices to be heard. I also believe in entrepreneurship. So I think that as a steward of entrepreneurship and a believer of dreams and goals, and realizing that at some point somebody needed to help me, right? So I just believe that this podcast, this platform, this movement that you're creating is something that's going to be monumental, and I think I just want to be a resource to it any way I can.
Of course, we appreciate you for that, K Harp, as well. Can you just tell us a little bit about what motivated you to step into the community as a Kenosha alderman?
So one of the first things I said in 2020 when I opened my business, one of the first conversations coincidentally I had was with the alderman of the district at the time. Mm-hmm. And it sort of went like this. I told him that you don't know me, I don't know you, but I want to be a resource to this community. I want to bring a business to the community. So it was more important to be a resource to the community than it was to bring a business. How can I expect people to support my business in the community if I'm not supporting the community? And it's just been a fun ride for the last 5.5 years.
Of course. Now, how would you say families can go out and start and build generational wealth, even if they're starting from scratch?
Oh, man, that's a fantastic question. Generational wealth starts with a basic understanding, right? So you can't build something for generations if you don't have a beginning. So that starts with something as basic as budgeting, credit, life insurance, and all of those things that we don't talk about. And the reason I say we don't talk about it, because generational wealth essentially starts with life insurance. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that a lot of political campaigns will run with using life insurance as the finance point. So a person would start by getting whole life or permanent policies on their children, and they keep those policies, let them mature cash value, and then as their children had children, they get them on the grandchildren. So these policies will mature. There may be 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, And then once they got to a certain point, then they leverage those policies, the cash value, to do whatever they need, investments, whatever financial goals they may have. The biggest secret that people don't realize about life insurance, for example, is that the proceeds aren't subject to tax.
Wow.
So it's one of the biggest cheat codes in order to defeat the IRS, as I say. But using those proceeds, those untaxed proceeds, to again purchase assets, to purchase things that again leads to creating more wealth. The goal or the job of creating generational wealth starts with acquiring assets.
Of course. What barriers would you say prevent people from accessing sound financial advice?
Mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset is one of the biggest barriers to anything. When you think about building financial wealth, and I take myself for example. Before I started this business, I didn't realize that I had the ability to create the movement that I was creating. It wasn't that it was impossible. I just didn't see it for myself. So once I began to see things differently, I began to do things differently. And once I began to do things differently, the outcomes became a lot different.
Of course. In a world where life insurance is not heavily looked at, in a world where we all want to run to GoFundMe when things happen, such as a passing, whatever the case may be, can you just speak to why there's a disconnect on investing and looking at life insurance versus the quick and easy way of going to GoFundMe? And I have nothing negative to say about GoFundMe. I just know that there's kind of a deterrent when it comes to life insurance versus the GoFundMe route.
Absolutely. So I look at it as two different aspects. I look at GoFundMe as a reactive approach and life insurance as being the proactive approach. A lot of times, if you prepare for a situation before that situation happens, you can deal with it a lot better. I always tell people that I'd rather, when my time comes, all of us are going to meet that fate, right? There's nobody that's going to be above, not passing one day. I want to be able to care for my family even when I'm not here. Life insurance does that. GoFundMe it's funny, I use the term hope so money versus no so money. Mm-hmm. Life insurance is no so money. You know it's going to be there. GoFundMe, you hoping that it's going to be there. So creating that more proactive and stable approach to taking care of your family's needs is important.
Of course. How do you define success in a business and public space?
Wow. You coming up with these questions that's making me think. So defining success is the ability, in my opinion, is the ability to control the situation. And it's funny, I created a line of sweatshirts, and one of them is called the Entrepreneur hoodie. In that hoodie, it says, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the CEO of my own circumstances. Success for me is determined by the ability to move how I want to move, create the circumstances I want to create. When it comes to my day, I often tell clients say, hey, you got a lot of flexibility in your day, but realistically, I control that flexibility, and I've given the clients the opportunity to meet with me in a way that I want them to meet with me, and it looks like they're meeting on their terms when they're actually meeting on mine. Success is defined not by money, not by gifts, not by any cars, anything material. To me, success is defined by my ability to help others, to provide for my family, and continue to be a man of faith.
Of course. Now, what's one thing that schools and local government can do to improve the information and learning when it comes to financial advice?
So I think that the true aspect of financial learning does not happen in the classroom. I don't think that it's the government's job to teach financial education, right? I think that The government's job is to support programs that foster financial education, but not necessarily a job of the government to teach financial education. It's our job as a community to seek out that information and to make smart decisions. Financial literacy is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's similar to you and I if we bought the same shirt. We bought the same shirt, it'd definitely be two different sizes, right? We got two different body types, we're two different heights, all of those things.
And I'm more handsome. No, yeah. I'm just
That's all right. You spend a lot more time in the gym than I do. I ride by it while you go in there and put in the work. So, but when you look at that, everybody's financial situation is different. And it's about understanding your particular financial situation. It's about understanding your particular goals and then going out and crushing them.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Now, where would you say you're at with the alderman process? Are you going up for re-election? Just tell us a little bit about that, K. Harp.
So I decided in this current term that I am not going to seek re-election.
Okay.
And simply put, I want to focus on being a better resource to my business, to my family, and just basically organizing my life. Not that I haven't enjoyed my 2 years with the city. I still plan on staying on as any capacity I can to be a resource for the city, and hopefully in 2 years I can come back and be reelected to serve wherever the citizens see fit.
Of course. How important would you say it is for local businesses to invest in local platforms and conversations?
That's another great question, because I think that it's really important for local individuals to support their own local economy, right? When we talk about local elections, when we talk about all of the things that happen right here, it's really important that we build our local economy. We support our local small businesses. And I'm not just saying that because I am a local small business, but this is the backbone of our community, because these small businesses donate to the community, work in the community, live in the community, and overall we just become a stronger unit when we do it together.
Of course. Now, in today's economy, what would you say people should be focusing more closer on when it comes to financial stability?
Assets. Focus on assets. Anything that can grow and bring you money. One of the biggest things that I say frustrates me from a personal standpoint is when those Jordans drop, right? When you got the Jordan drops and all of these things, people spend more time making sure that they got a pair of Jordans than they do life insurance. I can tell you, I run into a lot of people that will have 5, 6, 7 pairs of Jordans in their closet, and I ask them, hey, you got life insurance? And they look at me like I'm crazy.
What's that?
Or do you have renter's insurance? You know, one of the things that I tell people all the time, renter's insurance is, they say it's too expensive, right? It's more expensive not to have it than it is to have it. So again, we're going back to that mindset type of thing. Finance is really built on a mindset. You got to really want it and really want to improve financially. I tell people all the time, we don't have a money problem. We have a distribution problem. It's not that the money isn't coming in, it's where you're putting it when it comes in.
Of course. Now, how would you say one's background in financial stability, budgeting, things of that nature, affect how they spend their money, how they save their money?
So it's really a inherited trait. When you look at behaviors or financial behaviors, a lot of the financial behaviors that people experience are taught behaviors and learned behaviors, because these are the things that we saw growing up, right? In our community, I could say in my household, when I was growing up, my father had passed away. My mother didn't have a strong financial history. I never saw savings. I never saw budgeting. So I never saw responsible use of credit. So as I started to grow and become a young adult, the things that I didn't see were some of the same things that I did. So I didn't have strong, responsible credit habits. I didn't have a savings habit. And until I got into probably my early to mid 30s, I didn't have any saving habits. So I, started a little bit late, but I always say better late than never.
Of course. Now, how would you say partnerships and investing in podcasts and other platforms come about when it comes to your broad mission of who you are as a person, the type of business you run, and the things that you want to support?
So I believe that there's success through partnership. My business partner and I have started multiple businesses and have seen success from a lot of the endeavors that we've created. And the primary principle of everything that we do is built on partnership. You can help a lot more people in a collective effort than I can doing it by myself. So I believe partnership is huge. I couldn't do half of the stuff I do without good partnerships.
Of course. Now, as we get ready to close out this phenomenal episode, what long-term impact would you like to have when it comes to Harper Tax and Financial Literacy Program has on the city of Kenosha and points beyond?
So one of my biggest dreams and goals is to have a bigger impact on the insurance industry. Right now, the insurance industry in the state of Wisconsin, UW Extension did a survey, and they did the survey of all entrepreneurs in the state. Only 2% of all entrepreneurs, no matter what color, got into financial services, and that may be insurance and things of that nature, right? 2% of that 2% were black. The biggest gap in income, somebody who isn't African American on average made $80,000 a year, where an African American doing the same job made $30,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
So my job, my goal, my mission, my everything is to bridge that gap, to show young people that the insurance or financial industry is an option for us, that is an option for them, and not necessarily just minorities. If you look at the average age of an insurance agent, no matter what color, they're in their mid to late 50s, early 60s. It's time for the industry as a whole to become younger, for us to be more financially sound, and to create the new insurance industry of the future, because technology is moving fast. You've got AI, all of these wonderful things that the younger generation adapts to very easily. So I think that to answer your question in the short, my goal is to have a bigger impact by being a resource to those who don't know that the financial services industry is for them.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first on the Line for Line podcast. I'm your host with the most, Devon Booker. That was our gracious sponsor, Kenny Harper. Kenny, we appreciate you having some time for us, sir.
Again, thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm going line for line.